Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. We're going to take another look at Enjin, and just before we do, we look at Bitcoin first, get a quick understanding of what's going on. I think it's important to always look at that first, specifically when you're investing in altcoins, but even more importantly because of the fact that Bitcoin is doing terrible in the grand scheme of things, but it's natural correction. It makes perfect sense. All good. Not to, bag on Bitcoin. It's just kind of the way that it is. It's legging down, and I think there's a continuation pattern where we're going to likely see the price continue down to somewhere between 52 to 54,000. But if nothing else, it might stop between 56 and 58. So make sure you're dollar cost averaging on your way down. And something to note, we're below the moving average 50 on the 1 day. Death cross is looming. We're almost there. Once that comes to fruition, it pretty much already probably has, we could see the price even come down further. So just bear that in mind. The price is trying to consolidate at about 58,000. But there's a good chance once we lose 58, if the 1 day candlestick closes before 58,000 or below, of course, then we're going to start seeing some downward momentum still, right? Because then that effectively works as a resistance. And then we got some ground to cover, right? So Bitcoin isn't out of the doghouse yet, but it's definitely kind of trying to recover at this point. We had a pretty large candle wick down to about 56.5. So it's kind of where we're at there for this guy here. Let's take a look at Enjin, see what's going on. It's been a little while since I covered this, and I'm going to just go ahead and I went ahead and reset the chart for the most part, minus the all-time high and the all-time 1 day close high, at least the more recent 1 day close. So if you see back here, that's the 1 day close. It pretty much 1 day closed here as well, pretty close. So we can still consider that a resistance level right at about 350. We can just move that up a little bit. So we're looking at 350 for the 1 day close, and then of course the all-time high is about 397, round number $4. So 350 to $4, we have a 50-cent resistance channel. So just bear that in mind. This is essentially a resistance channel. What we'll do is we'll take a look at some Fibonacci retracement lines, kind of see what's going on. But first, we look at the fundamentals, the more basics here. 50 on the RSI is holding as a potential support. Hasn't officially tested yet, but it's getting close. So good news is the price is still above 50. That's a very beneficial sign. And what we can see here too is there's a strong likelihood that the price right here at about 284 is a pretty strong likelihood of a strong support level, but also that's probably the same level on the RSI. You'll notice that there's points on the chart which are support and resistance levels that work concurrent with the RSI at specific points in time. In other words, right now it's safe to say that right around 283 is pretty close to 50 on the RSI. All right, so taking a look at the 4 hour, let's go ahead and see what's going on here. We are below the 50 but above the 200, so this is a good sign. I prefer to be above the 200. The 50-day set moving average can work as a pretty strong support and resistance level. It's temporarily a resistance level right now, but it's only because Bitcoin sold off in the last 8 hours, right? Now, granted, Bitcoin's been doing quite poor lately, right? And Enjin was making its way up. So for the last, 24 to 48 hours, we saw an overall approximate 20% increase from Enjin from bottom to top once, as a result of that recovery. So great thing is here, even though Bitcoin's doing one of these. If we take a look at Bitcoin, it's doing one of these. You can see that Enjin is not doing one of these, right? It's doing pretty much a W pattern in that sense, where it's testing that support level consistently, but constantly never breaking and staying above. So those are very, very good signs. Those are healthy signs. These are the things we like to look for. Sand and Mana have both very, very similar qualities there, where they're effectively going up contrary to Bitcoin going down. This one's going straight sideways and up, if that makes sense. So consolidation increase, consolidation increase. So these are very, very positive signs. I like to see that. That's why we look at Bitcoin first, right? Because if you don't know what Bitcoin's doing, you're kind of shooting in the dark. So, to anyone else that follows these other channels, which is perfectly fine, make sure that person is looking at Bitcoin, they understand how Bitcoin is, because if you can be a Bitcoin master, altcoins become tremendously easy, right? So it just makes a tremendous world of difference to be able to have that knowledge. So that's why we look at Bitcoin. Anyways, all good things here on the 4 hour. We are slightly below 50 on the RSI for the 4 hour chart, but that is par for the course considering what just happened. So I'm not super worried about that based on the sheer fact that we just dropped down below and came right back up above. I don't think that's going to hold as a resistance, but we will see soon. Looking at the 1 hour chart, we're going to go ahead and peek at the cloud. I think we're probably back up above the cloud. Look at that, just above. So awesome. So great news is, the price came down right around 282, bounced off that support level there, and effectively came right back up. So that's what the great thing about the cloud, it can work concurrent with strong support levels. So that being a strong support, the cloud is effectively likely going to be able to continue to push the price action up higher. Okay. So all good stuff there. So fantastic news there. TD sequential is going to look a little funky for a little while, considering we had this sharp decrease followed by a nice increase. So for lack of better terms here, we're at a 5. So we do have a potential of 5, 5 to 10, 8 to 4 to 8 hours left of bullish momentum. Now, bear in mind, things are going to be a little wonky for the next 24 hours. This is that knee-jerk reaction that happens when there's a sell-off and the price just rumps back up. My speculation is we'll see something similar to what we saw before, where the price continues to increase, but then it'll consolidate at support. So we should probably see a consolidation at support here still. I don't think Enjin's going to take off, but I do feel like it's preparing and really wanting to, if that makes any sense. So just something to be aware of. That's kind of where we're at there for Enjin. Let's take a quick look here at, let's go with a recent Fibonacci retracement. We'll just go ahead and draw that from the most recent lowest point to the most recent high, and you can see that that pretty much matches that same support level that we had on the one-day chart with the one-day candlesticks closing, right? So that's why that's extremely important. You got to understand that one-day candlesticks are probably the most important indication of a strong support and resistance level you could ever imagine. So please always do yourself a favor. You're going to draw any support and resistance levels, use the one-day chart. Don't work on the 1 hour or the 4 hour. They're less effective because they're moving quicker, right? That being said, we're right there at that support. So let's take a quick look. So therefore, you can see that there's, well, why don't we just go ahead and mark this here. So we got strong resistance there right at about 326. And then we've got that guy there. We'll go ahead and draw the support. So we'll just go ahead and stick with kind of the standard support and resistance levels as well as the big picture. So what we're going to do, we're just going to take a quick look here at where this price could be. And oh man, look at that. Look how amazing that is. Look at the Fibonacci retracement line. Look how perfect that matches up. So in other words, in roughly 2 weeks, this is usually what I use to essentially kind of predict or anticipate the future movement, right? So in the last 24 hours, sorry, this is more like 48. Last 48 hours, we've seen the price action increase from its lowest to highest point at about 27%. So if we replicate that and go another 27%, and we effectively put that, up here, right? That same amount of growth, which of course is 20% because it's just a little bit higher, it's going to put us at right about $3.98. That's exactly the all-time high for this coin. So if you can see that, that is the all-time high for the coin previously, which is exactly falls on the Fibonacci retracement line. So there's something to Fibonacci. It is an amazing, but yet very simple algorithm, and it's quite interesting how it works. So simply put, this just kind of reaffirms the fact that we're going to have a strong support level there at 398, but we'll likely break into that resistance channel. So I think over the next couple of weeks, we will see 398 tested. Will it break through? It's hard to say. It probably hit it. What happens a lot is we've seen a lot of cup and handle patterns recently where the price comes up, right? It'll shoot up there to that line. It'll kind of consolidate. It'll test it once more, and then it breaks through, comes down, tests support, and lifts off. That's a very, very common pattern right now. So I think that there's a likelihood we're probably going to see something to that effect in the near future, but how soon? Hard to say specifically. The fact that we have this much movement in the last 2 days leads me to believe we could see that same amount of improvement in the next 2 days, right? So again, this is more short-term stuff here. This is not long-term. If we were to look at the long-term Fibonacci retracement lines, they'll be much higher. But what I'll do is I'll plan to make review videos of Enjin every single day moving forward until it gets where it needs to go, considering the fact that I believe we should probably send out a signal to my community here for this coin specifically. What I mean by that is I send out trade signals for every single trade that I take, and this is feeling like it's going to definitely do some really good things here in the near future. We just have to have a loose stop loss based on the simple fact that Bitcoin could decrease down to sub 56,000. If that happens, Enjin will lose that potential support and probably bounce off of somewhere in the range of 250. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. Anyways, I hope you found benefit here. Yeah, my prediction, I would say in the next 2 to 7 days, within the next week, I think it's very likely we're going to see 398. Then past that, we'll obviously bridge that gap when we get there. But for now, I want to thank you so much for joining me here. If you're not currently a patron, check it out. If you need a leg up in the industry, you want to become a better trader, I can help you with that. Furthermore, too, I also share signals for every single trade that I take. I average about 1 to 3 signals per day. Right now, literally, I'm averaging 0 based on the fact that Bitcoin hasn't found its bottom yet. And I'm not trying to short a bunch of stocks or currencies, rather, until we get to bear season. And we're still very much in a bull market. Do not consider otherwise. All right, thanks again for your time. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.